Hello, hello, my beautiful people. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Grady and I am the counselor and transformational coach at Butterfly Project. So today I just wanted to talk to you guys about something that I touched on lightly in one other video that I did not that long ago. So I will post a link up here for it. But basically, I just wanted to talk about our nervous system regulation. So what does that mean? Basically, whenever we go into what's called the fight, flight, or freeze response, any kind of fear response, if we're triggered by anything that brings up literally any fear within our body, right? We go into that kind of crisis mode. We have cortisol pumping through our bodies and all that sort of thing. So this can come from past traumas. It can come from, even just, fear. It's basically the ego's way of protecting us because we needed this, centuries ago when we were living in the wild and we were trying to, survive in the wild. Against animals and starvation and all that kind of thing. So that's what the ego is for. And it served its purpose back then, but not so much now. So, but I mean, our body still responds the same way. So people with, PTSD, anxiety disorders, things like this, and regular everyday people, whenever you're faced with anything that kind of brings up fear, there could be lots of fears. There could be psychological fears, things like fear of rejection or fear of, judgment, fear of opinion of others, fear of like standing up in front of a crowd, things like that. So there's lots of kind of fears, but basically whenever we have this response in our body, it throws our whole nervous system out of whack. I've said this in another video too, that when we actually go to sleep and we wake up in the morning, it is actually kind of traumatizing on our body. So our nervous system, is out of whack. This is why it's really good to do deep breathing exercises in the morning. And I believe that was the video that I talked about that in. But I just, this is something that's been coming up a lot lately with my clients, to be able to regulate your nervous system. The reason this is so important is because if we don't do this, and let me backtrack. When we're in that fight, flight, or freeze response, when we're in that fear response, we can't really think straight because what happens is the blood is like kind of taken away from your prefrontal cortex and you go into, being very primal. You go into the primal part of your brain. So that means just survival. Right? So you go into survival mode essentially. So this is why people that, suffer from PTSD and things like that from past traumas tend to have this happen regularly, even though the trauma isn't happening still. Okay. So nervous system regulation is doing anything that can kind of calm this down. Deep breathing exercises is really good, but something else is, and I believe I've done a video on this as well recently in regards to trauma that gets, or, the fear response and cortisol and all the hormones and stuff gets trapped in the body. So our body always responds first and it carries all of this. So we do actually need to do some sort of movement. Okay, so deep breathing can help, but before you go into kind of any, meditations or anything to kind of ground yourself that way, initially it would be really great for you to actually do some sort of movement. And the reason this is so important is because cortisol gets pumped through your body whenever this fear response comes in. So this is the initial fear response. Okay, you want to do some sort of movement, somatic type of exercises and different therapies and things like that is also really great to get rid of that is trapped in the body from this fear response. But I'm talking about more just that initial reaction. So you want to do some sort of movement. And the reason is because centuries ago, when we were fighting off, animals and things like that for our survival, what would happen is when we would, it's a fight, flight, or freeze response, right? So typically we're, even if you froze, you're still going to exert some sort of movement afterwards, right? So people back then were a lot more active than we are. We're more sedentary. So I always tell people, go for a walk, go for a jog or a run, dance, do some sort of movement to get that out of your system. Now, once you've done that, we can really focus on deep breathing, grounding techniques. So there's a lot of grounding techniques out there. You can Google these. Some of them is like the 5, things. So 5 things I hear, 5 things I see, touch, feel. That's a good grounding technique. The deep breathing exercises, so the box breathing method, the 4-4-4-4 method of breathing can work really well. So I've done videos on this before, but taking a deep breath in for a count of 4, holding that for 4, letting it out for a count of 4, and then doing that 4 times. That can really help you to ground yourself. Then there's, listening to soothing sounds and music, different solfeggio frequencies can be helpful. Doing any kind of, spiritual stuff, rituals, spending time in nature, doing things with your hands. So art, can be really good. Doing things with plants. Maybe it's planting, maybe it's baking or cooking. Anything, working with your hands can help. But the other thing that helps with nervous system regulation, so all of those are really physical stuff, but the other thing that really helps with nervous system regulation is actually shifting your thoughts. We can't do this initially when you're in that primal survival state. You're not going to think clearly. Okay, so this is why we got to do kind of that physical stuff first, but then we can get to the point where we can actually shift our thoughts, shift our thinking from this negative, fear-based thinking into more positive, solution-focused thinking. Okay, so before we can get there, though, like I said, we need to regulate the nervous system on a physical level. And then we can start, kind of shifting our brains. We can process, doing, maybe it's shadow work, maybe it's inner child healing, doing these kinds of things. Maybe it's talking with somebody like a counselor or a coach or someone like that, talking with a friend, journaling. Any of these things to be able to shift the way that you think is kind of, the next step of nervous system regulation that a lot of people don't really talk about. Okay, but first we do need to work with the body. And once we've done that, then we can work with the thought patterns until you've regulated your nervous system. And for some people, it's not just the initial cortisol released, fear-based reaction. For some people, it actually can last days, weeks, at a time, okay, even a few months possibly, for some people. So it's really important to do this kind of, nervous system regulation type stuff, grounding exercises and all these things to regulate your nervous system, okay, before you can get to that place of really, shifting your thoughts, because that really is the next step. We do need to be able to do that, or else you're going to get stuck in this cycle and that pattern of, especially when it comes from fear. Okay, and you guys don't forget, fear really is false evidence appearing real, even though it might feel really real, seem really real. We need to also uncover, where did the fears come from? Because nervous system regulation helps with, those triggers in the moment and how to deal with the triggers, physically especially. But then we don't want to keep getting triggered. Okay, and I'll probably do another video on that piece of it, about how to not get triggered. But I mean, there's so many different parts to that, and that's really what I do with my clients. A lot of it has to do with subconscious mind reprogramming. As you guys know, that's a big topic on my channel and something that I work on with everybody. So I will do more videos on that, of course, as I have time. So yeah, if you would like to ever work with me, my information is always in the description box below, whether it's counseling or coaching. I also do a lot of conscious manifesting coaching with people that is really helpful, especially for people that deal with, you know, depression and anxiety. It can be a really, really great thing. And of course, subconscious mind reprogramming is one of the biggest things that I work with, and a bunch of other stuff as well, mental health, you know, addictions, things like that. I'm also specialized in. All right, my loves. So thanks so much for being here. I truly appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Don't forget to do all the things like this video, comment down below. I love hearing from you guys and responding. And also share this video on my channel with others that you think it could be helpful for, because you guys, as you know, one of my biggest passions is to help as many people as I possibly can. And also, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and be part of this ever-growing butterfly community. And also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so you get notified of new videos as I post them. And you guys, I appreciate each and every one of you, you know, for being here and for helping my channel to grow. And as always, I wish you all peace, love, and light. Until next time, bye-bye.